take the opportunity over the next 8 days to go over the verses of Dāmodarāṣṭaka, which begins Namāmishvaram Satchitanandarupam Lashat Kundalam Gokula Brajamanam Yashoda Viyolukala Dhatahavamanam Paramrishtamatyanto Drupjagopya. To the Supreme Controller, whose form of eternity, knowledge, and bliss, as a cowherd boy is wonderfully manifest in the village of Gokula, I offer my respectful obeisances again and again. With dazzling earrings swinging to and fro, he climbs down from a grinding mortar and runs in fear of Mother Yashoda, who after much effort finally catches him. Sanatana Goswami wrote a commentary on these verses. It begins, first verse begins, Namami, that we bow down, just like Nama Om Vishnu Padaya. So we offer respect. First thing, when you speak to someone, speak about someone, then one should both offer respect and it should be respectful. Unfortunately, we're living in a world where people neither offer respect nor are necessarily respectful. Krishna says that avoiding offensive language, speaking very sweetly, this is the way that those who pursue spiritual life seriously, they avoid one thing and they present the other. Namami. So now I'm bowing down. And who do we bow down to? Ishvara. We bow down. There are Ishvaras and then there is the Parameshvara. So just like Ishvara, Parama Krishna. Ishvara, Parama. So I was led to understand that this word Parama is a very specifically used word, just like in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says Param Bhakti. So Paro Bhakti, that it really indicates the top, supreme. It's not just superior, but supreme, and not a supreme which is just said out of praise, but a supreme that's stated out of fact. So here it isn't stated Parameshvara, but rather that Ishvara, but here Ishvara means Parameshvara, and similar to Ishvara Parama Krishna Sat Chit Ananda Vigraha. So he says, Namami Ishvaram Sat Chit Ananda Rupam. So Ishvara Paramak Sachit Ananda Vigraha Rupa Sachit Ananda Namami Ishvaram. Why do we offer respect? Do we offer respect to every Ishvara? Well, yes, in one sense that we do. But every Ishvara isn't Sachit Ananda Rupam, who has this extraordinary body that is composed of pure transcendence. So Sat, Chit, and Ananda, eternity, knowledge, and bliss. This is the substance. Everything is made of a substance. I'm doing that to my fingers. Well, my fingers are made of substance, mostly organic material, which is for the most part water and carbon. So everything is made up of something, and those molecules are then made up of atoms and electrons. So Sat, Chit, Ananda, eternity or existence. So existence is a substance. If it wasn't, then you wouldn't exist. Existence has to be there for something to be. So Sat, Chit, and knowledge. This is transcendental knowledge and bliss, which is, of course, transcendental happiness. So a body that's made completely and wholly of that, which is not so unusual because all of Krishna's associates, in fact, all of us have a Satchit Ananda Rupam. Now, he goes a little further and says, all right, but who is, if he has a Rupa? And this establishing that the Parameshvara has a form, that he's Satchit Ananda, that you could even get, well, actually you couldn't get Mayavadis to agree. They would just say that he is undifferentiated existence and knowledge. But here we say that he is also bliss. So they're missing out on this bliss factor. But in any case, if he's a Rupa, then describe that Rupa. So interestingly, that the first thing that he says is Lasat Kundala. Now, he has glittering earrings, and Kundala generally refers to sharp-shaped earrings, although it's not specifically or stated here in detail. Lasat Kundala. So, well, how is this describing his form? Well, it means that if he's got earrings, he's got ears. You have to have ears to have earrings. And in order to have ears, you have to have a face and a head. And in order to have a head, then there is also Rupam. So now just by one indirect, something which is not actually a feature of the body, but is actually an ornament of one part of the body, then we get an idea that yes, he has a very similar, man is made in the image of God. That means that what we're familiar with, he has that original form. And Gokula Brajamanam, and where is he? Well, he's in Gokula. So Gokula means in earthly Vrindavan. There's Goloka, which is in the spiritual world, and there is the manifestation. Therefore, this word here is there, Brajamanam, manifest in Gokula. Krishna is manifest in Gokula, and Gokula is a manifestation of Goloka in the material world. And there's no difference between the two, although there are certain differences. And one difference is because he's manifest, why is it, all right, he's in Gokula, and Gokula is a physical place. It's some place that you can find. Now we're talking about Mahavan in Vrindavan. So you can find this place that is geographically situated, but why is it also important? Because he's not manifest like this in Goloka. Gokula, Goloka are the same, but still in Goloka, he is always Shama Rupa Param Rupa. He's always in the form of a Kaishor. And here, he takes birth, he's a childhood, he has a boyhood, he has a Kaishor, he has Navajovana, and then ages stop at that point. Ever fresh youth. So, difference between, they're non-different in terms of both being the transcendental realm, but here it appears that the influence of the material energy is also mixed. It's an appearance, just like, for instance, you take water and you put some oil on. So the oil is always on the top. Mix it. Okay, a whole bunch of bubbles will go everywhere, but as soon as you stop mixing, what happens? Boom, all the oil comes back on the top and joins together again. So they don't mix. The two never mix, but there's an appearance of mixing. That means demons can appear. That means there's a aging, apparent aging process. So other things, the bodies, although Satchit Ananda Rupa, but actually Krishna is on the battlefield, and grandfather Bhishma is shooting arrows and his body's bleeding. And how can his body bleed when it says Satchit Ananda Rupa? Because the Satchit Ananda Rupa, in order to apparently conform to material laws, therefore it bleeds. Lasat kundalam Gokula Brajamanam Yashoda. And all right, he's appearing where? So, of course, the Leela here is with Mother Yashoda. So, this is happening on Deepavali Day, or Deepavali festival, and on that Deepavali Day, then Nanda Maharaj and the Brajbasis, they've gone out. So Mother Yashoda, few servants, and Krishna are back in the palace. Krishna's still young, so they haven't taken him out. So it's Yashoda is the one who's being mentioned. And of course, the Leela is to do with Mother Yashoda. And of the two, although they're husband and wife, and traditionally in Vedic culture, the husband is the leader, but when it comes to measurement of prema, then Mother Yashoda is the leader. So Yashoda is being mentioned, and Nanda Maharaj's name doesn't even come up here in the entire prayer. Yashoda Bhiya. Now he's afraid. He's afraid of Mother Yashoda. How can Ishvara, what to speak of the Parameshwara, who is, Bhagavatam says, Tam Bhadbeti Swayam Bhayam, is that fear personified is afraid of him. So in third canto, there is a whole list of all of the different qualities and how they're born from each other. So fear is also personified. Everything is personified. There's no such thing as impersonal. Just because we don't see anything doesn't mean that it's not there. So fear personified is afraid of him. Now how can he be afraid? So this immediately brings up a important philosophical concept that arises throughout these prayers, is that now he's either doing one of two things. Either he's playing that he's afraid, or he's really afraid. But if he's praying if he's afraid, then he's not afraid. And if he's playing like that, if this is some kind of pretend, then the whole idea of spontaneous devotional service goes out the window. Why? Because then he's aware of his own divinity. If he's playing as he's aware, that means I'm aware of my divinity, but I'm pretending that I'm afraid of my mother. And this is not what's going on in Gokula. In Gokula, Krishna has abandoned his awareness of his divinity, and he is also just fully absorbed in his personality. So we use this phrase, Supreme Personality of Godhead, which also contains this idea that, all right, he may be God, but for us, what's important is his personality. We're interested in his persona, and we're not so much interested in his divinity. But obviously, to understand the personality, you have to also understand his divinity. So he's afraid. He's really afraid. He's thinking, I'm a little boy, I happened to be 2.5, 3 years old, and was 2.5, or 2 and 3 months, and my mother is going to beat me, and he's afraid. He thinks that his mother is going to beat him. So, but why is he afraid? What should he be afraid? Because he's done this naughty thing, is that he's not only stolen, all right, say if he steals a little butter, it's one thing, but he's completely destroyed the whole storehouse. Krishna's angry. So he got angry because Mother Yashoda put him down and went to tend to the boiling milk. Anyabilasita shunyam jnana karma drinavritam anukulena Krishna anushilanam. Now how is that pure devotional service if he's putting Krishna's so upset, making Krishna upset? Krishna really becomes distraught when he can no longer suck Mother Yashoda's breast. She puts him down and she just goes, just so the milk doesn't boil over, there's no shortage of milk. So is that favorable devotional service? It's favorable because even though Krishna's crying, but Mother Yashoda's going there because that milk is Krishna's milk and it's meant for Krishna. And she doesn't want Krishna to be deprived of the milk products that she is making. So between the two things of Krishna being happy and Krishna being served, then the service is more important, and it's more important to Krishna. Just like Govinda would come and massage Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and when Lord Chaitanya was laying across the door in order to get in and massage, stepped over Lord Chaitanya and massaged like that. But he wouldn't step over him to go out and have lunch. So Lord Chaitanya says, why did you step over me? He says, because to do service, that's my business, is to do service. So even if it means that I have to be punished for that, I'll accept that. But of course he wasn't. Lord Chaitanya was very pleased with the fact that service is more important than the details of etiquette. So Krishna was very upset. Therefore, not only he went to just get some yogurt or curd to eat and then distribute to the monkeys, but then he smashed. I don't know if he could smash everything, but because there's a lot of things in the storehouse and some of it is hanging up there, but he did a lot of damage. So now he knows, yes, I better hide. But he hasn't, he's gone out, he started feeding the monkeys, who aren't mentioned here at all. He's feeding the monkeys, and then he notices that his mother is coming from behind, and she wants to catch him, and she's got a stick in her hand. So that's all for Krishna to see a stick. It's one thing when your mother's coming, but it's something else if she's got a stick in her hand, then you're really scared. So Yashoda Bhiya. So she's in fear of Mother Yashoda. Ulukalat Dhavamanam. So he was sitting on top of a wooden mortar and calling all the monkeys of Vrindavan and personally feeding them milk products. Monkeys had it good in that generally monkeys eat fruit and things like that in the forest, but here they also get milk products served directly from the hands of Krishna. So he's Ulukala, he's on that Uluka, and go to Gokula, then that mortar is there. It's, thank goodness, it's preserved. It was, the whole episode is that you can see there that Krishna actually dragged it from a long distance. It was all the way up on the top where the castle is. Although where you go now to Nanda Bhavan. According to one of the governors of Mathura district, English governors, I forget, he was very favorable, and he really wrote a lot about Vrindavan tradition. And he explains that Aurangzeb dismantled actually the original palace, and what is the present now is the pieces of that palace were taken to another hilltop and reassembled over there. So in any case, it's a long way down, and when you go down towards the Jamuna, then there's just a little covering, and it almost looks like a bus stop, and inside it's there. Now it's turned to stone. It seems that a lot of the things, for the sake of preservation, that took place, not just in Krishna Lila, but even in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Lila, that they turned to stone. So when I first went there, it was just lying there. It's like this drum is here. There was nothing. There was no covering. It was anyone could have picked it up. I mean, it's it's a big piece of stone. You don't just walk away with it so easy. But you could have. They could have just stolen it. It's a miracle that it was there for 5,000 years, sitting in the same place. And Leela or pastime, I won't get into, but Dhavamanam, so he's running away. Everyone likes to see how little children's movements are very enchanting, because they're a little clumsy still, and certainly Krishna was like that. Chubby legs and arms and belly and so on. So Krishna's chubby. I mean, generally children are chubby, but sometimes they're skinny. So considering the diet that he's fed, which is sweets and milk products, and so as he's paramrishtam, so she's coming, amrishtam para, and from the back she catches him. It's a long chase that's not described here. Atyantata, finally, or from the end. In other words, after a long time, then she was managing to catch him after she was chasing him. And Gopi, the word gop means to hide. So the gopis are, or the word gopi, and in Bhagavatam also just refers to Mother Yashoda. Also in this particular Leela, she's also referred to as Gopi. There's so many gopis, so I can just refer to her as Gopi. Well, of course, we already know, because in the beginning it says Yashoda because he's afraid of Mother Yashoda. But there are many gopis. But when you just say Gopi, that also means the head gopi. And they hide, she is the emblem of maternal love. Within her, she contains or she hides all motherly love. Whatever motherly love exists in the spiritual realm, what to speak of motherly love that exists in the material world. That all comes from Mother Yashoda. So just like Srimati Radharani is the source of all Shaktis, so similarly Mother Yashoda is the source of all motherly love. But here in the material world, it's the perverted image. Now, in the spiritual world, there are so many mothers, and they have their children. Why do they love their children? Why do they love their sons? Because their sons are friends of Krishna. So the love is not because he's mine, it's because he's Krishna's. That's why. And similarly with the gopis, young gopis, they may not know that Krishna is interacting with the gopis, but they do know that the gopis, my daughter wants to marry Krishna. And because of that, she loves her daughter. And that was there from, very young age. Girls mature much faster than boys, and they have these ideas even when they're young. So, but here it's perverted reflection. So what happens? Why am I attached to, I'm attached to my child because my child is friends with somebody else? No, I am attached to them because they're mine. Janasya mohoyam aham mameti. Aham mama. So because that I and mine is there, therefore I'm attached to him. So that's perverted. Yes, that attachment is there, but it's not pure. How does it become pure? When I love my children because they're devoted to Krishna, because they love Krishna. But then that means I have to teach them how to actually become lovers of Krishna. So Gopi, now she is Gopi. And of course, Gopi, when referred to other gopis, means that they're hiding within their hearts this clandestine love for Krishna and not letting anybody know. They don't let each other know. So sometimes it's portrayed that they speak openly, but at other times it's like they contain within themselves, and even when they speak openly, they only speak so much. It's very rare that they will just open their hearts. Why? Because they're Gopi. They hide their love. Rako Ranga Charanera Pasa. So you should hide your love, just like a candle. When a candle is burning inside a protected thing, then the flame is guaranteed. You take it out, and it'll get blown out by the wind, by the breeze. So Narottam repeatedly says that we should hide. One should hide one's love. It isn't a public issue like we have, of course, nowadays. Every song, every movie, every music, you name it, everything is about love, 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 love. So some things you keep within, and of course the other example is like a steam kettle. You cook with steam. How do you cook with steam? You don't let the steam out. You let the steam out, and everything stays raw. It never cooks. So similarly, prema cooks and becomes richer and richer and richer when it's kept within the heart. But what happens when that takes place? Actually, the story of prema can be visible within the face and especially in the eyes. So now this Gopi, she's running after this boy, and now she's finally catching him. Jai Shri Śrīvādha Dāmodarāṣṭaka Jai.